So there's this arc in the Clone Wars, which is this show about Star Wars, which is like an entire thing on its own. But I'm not going to get into that because I want to talk about these 3 episodes. I think it's 3 episodes. It could be 1 episode now that I'm thinking about it, but it was like so much content within it that it seemed like 3 episodes. So I'm going to call it 3 episodes just in case. Anyways, in this, Yoda's chilling with his Jedi homies and he hears a voice. He's like, yo, guys, I think I'm tripping, right? And everybody's like, yo, Yoda, you good? And he's like, yeah, dude, I'm chilling. I'm just going to meditate a little bit. It'll be fine. Everybody's like, all right, dude, you're good. And then they kind of go about their day. And Yoda's like, oh, I'm hearing him again. It's Qui-Gon Jinn. That guy's dead, though. Why am I hearing Qui-Gon Jinn? That guy's super dead. And so he's like talking to like some of the other Jedi. He's like, guys, I'm hearing Qui-Gon Jinn. I'm kind of losing my mind here. Like, what do I do? And they're like, all right, let's scan your brain and shit. Like, let's see what's going on with you. And so they put him in a little hospital bed. He's wearing a little hospital shirt, I think. I don't remember. And the robot's like, his brain's good though. Everything's Gucci. And everybody's like, but we probably shouldn't have him doing any like war stuff because, he seems like he's not mentally all there because they understood that old senile people shouldn't be making major decisions for their people. Anyways, then Yoda starts hearing Qui-Gon again. And Yoda's like, oh my God, I'm tripping so hard. And he's like, get me Anakin. And Anakin walks in and he's like, Anakin, get me the out of this hospital. I need to go to a swamp planet. And Anakin's like, are you sure that's a good idea? And he's like, yeah, dude, you love disobeying the Jedi Order. Come on, do it. And he's like, yeah, you're right. I love doing that. So he sneaks Yoda out of the hospital and he gets on a little ship and then he just leaves. And the Jedi's are like, Anakin, what the like, where'd he go? Why'd you do that? He's like, So Yoda goes to Dagobah, which is the swamp planet, and he's like, "Oh, this force is so strong here." And he sees some sparklies, and the sparklies are like, "Yo, it's me, Qui-Gon Jinn." And he's like, "Oh my God!" But he's like, "But it's not really me, because I'm only a voice, and I don't have my body because I never finished my training because I got stabbed by that red guy." And Yoda's like, "Oh my God, that's so sad." And he's like, "Yeah, go in this tree." And so he goes into this tree and he's like tripping. He's like, oh my God, there's going on in here. I'm spooked. And Qui-Gon Jinn's like, yo, you did super good in that spooky tree. I'm so proud of you. Go to this like force planet that's entirely made up of force people. And there's like a force mask that's like what I can only call like the face stealer from Avatar The Last Airbender, but like 4 different entities or 5. I don't remember. There's a bunch of them. Anyways, I'm like 99% sure this is a different episode. So he talks to the weird, creepy mask people, and he's like, yo, Qui-Gon told me to, like, learn some shit, so what you got to tell me? And the mask people are like, oh, we're gonna, like, give you a bunch of trials and it's gonna be, like, exactly like the Chakra plot from Avatar The Last Airbender, but it's not gonna be that. It's gonna be Star Wars, but it's not Avatar The Last Airbender. And so Yoda, it's like, all right, let's do it. And they're like, all right, you have to fight Dark Yoda. And he's like, oh my God. And he sees Dark Yoda, and Dark Yoda tries to hit him with a stick. He's like, no, bro, give me a hug. And then they make out, and then it's like, you had to embrace the bad, right? And then he's like, all right, what's next? And then they're like, oh, you gotta like overcome fear. So we're gonna give you some like really good weed. You're gonna think that you're like back where you were, but like you're not. And you have to like overcome the fact that like there's bad stuff happening all of the time and there's nothing you can do about it because you're doomed. And he's like, all right, cool. And then he's like back where all his friends are. And then Count Dooku's like a good guy. And he's like, what the fuck's going on? And he's like, that's not true. That's a lie. And they're like, haha, you know what lies are. Good job, little man. And he's like, cool, what's the last thing? And they're like, I don't remember. You got to do something else. And then he does it. And they're like, wow, you're so good. And then they're like, cool. Well, you hung out with all of us. Look, we're ghosts. He's like, oh, shit. And then he's like, what do I do now? And they're like, go to the Sith planet. Go to where the Sith happened. And he's like, oh, God, that place is spooky. And they're like, yeah, you got to go, though. And so he's like, all right, I guess I'm going to the Sith planet. And so he goes to the Sith planet. And there's like a hole. And R2D2's like, I ain't going down this hole. This hole's spooky. And Yoda's like, yeah, all right, dude, I got you. So he jumps in the hole by himself. Or maybe he takes an airplane. I don't remember. And he comes across this spooky Sith cave. And the spooky Sith cave has a skeleton man that's on fire, and he's like, ooh, Yoda, ooh, right? And I don't really remember what their fight was like, but I do know that Palpatine and Count Dooku caught wind of this, and they're like, "Oh my god, we should prank Yoda. We should prank call him, like get in on this, and like try to kill him while he's like in this weird spooky cave of Sith, because we're Sith, right?" But Yoda's like somehow able to defeat them without him knowing they were there. I don't really remember what the fuck happens in the spooky Sith cave, but Yoda's like, "I did it. I did the trials. I'm gonna go back to Dagobah and tell Qui-Gon Jinn that I figured it all out." And he goes back to Dagobah, and he's like, "Qui-Gon Jinn, guess what?" And Qui-Gon Jinn's like, "Yo, what's up, my dude? You figured it out?" He's like, "Yeah." But then like you don't see Qui-Gon Jinn ever like become a spirit ghost, so I'm assuming he like figured it out later. But then Yoda's like, "Oh, but I gotta like go because like it's about to go down." And then Anakin becomes Darth Vader, and everybody dies and stuff. And then he like realizes that like he can't undo the Empire from happening. He's like, "I just got to sit on Dagobah for like 50 years, don't I?" And he does. And then he dies anyway, which is like so funny because he's a puppet at that point. But I don't really remember. That was just like the fever dream that I liked. Anyways, there's the video. Goodbye.